What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and we're talking NBA basketball, specifically about the Golden State Warriors. What is wrong with the Warriors right now? And is this the beginning of the end? Right now, the Warriors are in the midst of a three-game losing streak, and that seems almost unheard of if you follow the Warriors over the past 4 or 5 years, where they have really pretty much run roughshod through the NBA. But amidst some inner turmoil, injuries, and probably a little bit of aging as well. And then also a little bit of demotivation, possibly that is almost impossible to avoid when you've had as much success as this team has had. One of the biggest problems for a perennially successful team that has kept the same core together for an extended period of time is guarding against boredom and guarding against, especially during the regular season, of course, and guarding against a lack of motivation during that regular season. They've been through so many long campaigns. They've had the great regular seasons. They've had the record-breaking regular seasons. And while there's no doubt in my mind, all of the guys there want to win a championship. Some of them it would be their first, but most of them it would be a chance to win multiple championships. I know they all want that, but it's a long haul getting there. And we're talking about a group of men, a group of multimillionaire men who have their own lives, their own situations, there's personality conflicts, the whole nine. And sometimes it becomes hard to stay harmonious during this long period, this long stretch. And we're seeing that happen a lot with the Warriors right now. Obviously, we know about the Kevin Durant, the Draymond Green situation, their argument, their issues with each other, or what have you. And that's clearly playing an effect. But also, another thing that's obviously playing a big effect is the absence of Steph Curry. They definitely need him back. And before, we never would have thought that missing any one of their core four, so Curry, Klay Thompson, Durant, or Draymond, we never thought that missing one of them would have as significant of an impact as it's had. And it does appear to be really, really impacting the Warriors. You realize over the three-game losing streak, they're averaging only 95 points a game. That's really low for this era of the NBA period, but it's even lower when you consider the amount of firepower that the Warriors have. Even the one win that they have in this last five stretch is a 7 point victory over the lowly Atlanta Hawks. So they lost the Clippers game 121 to 116. That's a game when the whole thing blew up between Durant and Draymond. They come back the following day, which is the day that Draymond was out and Steph was still out, and they beat the Hawks by only 7 points. But now they've lost three in a row since then, and it's really looking a little scary. And Steve Kerr on Sunday night made the comment. He said, the dream is over. We are now as a team in the real NBA, and we've had this dream run over the past few years. And quite honestly, their fan base and even the rest of the NBA, may have been a little spoiled to what's been going on and what they can realistically expect from this team. But this is why I never say, and anyone who's ever asked me for predictions at the beginning of the season, this is why I never say, "Oh, there's no reason to have the season. This team's already got it on paper. They just look too strong." Blah blah blah. I never say that because things can happen over the course of a season, whether it's injuries, whether it's internal conflict, whatever it is. Championships of any kind are not won on paper. You can put together the best 2K squad you want, but in real life, those guys have to go out and they have to play together, they have to execute, they have to mesh and have chemistry. And sometimes over the course of time, even though we might have seen that core mesh before, circumstances and events, can change things. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now with the Warriors. I think a lot of people still had the belief that, oh, if it really came down to it and the Warriors found themselves in the finals or in a series with any team in the NBA, there's still no team that would beat this team, especially healthy, 4 out of 7 times. And you might be right. But right now, what we're looking at is a lot more doubt about that situation than we had at the beginning of the season or during the offseason. When they were signing Boogie Cousins, who still hasn't played a game, nobody was talking about, you know, this type of thing taking place, what we're seeing right now. I think it's also very realistic to ask the question, is this the beginning of the end? And how quickly could the end come about? And when I talk about the end, I'm not just talking about, is this the end of their championship run? Do they get stopped before they get to the championship? That's not just what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the disassembling of this amazing core. Is this the beginning? No, pretty much. Steph Curry's not going anywhere. Steph Curry's got, I think, 3 or 4 more years left on his deal. And we're talking about last few years of his deal. He's making like $45 million a year. He's already the highest paid player in the NBA. So he's not going anywhere. He is locked down, right? And I can't imagine they would ever trade him. And I can't imagine what package another team would be willing to put together and would put together to bring him there. Next up, you got Durant, who obviously has the player option available for next year. He's making about $30 million this year. I think it's the player option is for 31 and a half. Most people strongly suspect that he is going to the Lakers. I strongly believe, I'm close to 100%, just based off of people that I've talked to who haven't been wrong before, that he is fully planning on going to the Lakers. Now, things can change. If you would have asked me the same question about Paul George around the same time last year, I would have told you 100% he was going to the Lakers. And I think he believed he was at the time. I think things changed and or things changed. So, but I do believe Durant's going to go to the Lakers. So that would take Durant out of the circle. So now you just have Steph. Okay, next you have Klay Thompson, who a lot of people aren't talking about. But Clay's up at the end of this season. He doesn't have a player option. He doesn't have a team option. He's flat up. Is he going to resign? And Clay is the guy who a lot of people just tend to take for granted. They don't discuss. But Clay is the team's best perimeter defender outside. I think he's probably the best perimeter defender now as Andre Iguodala has gotten older. Clay is one of the greatest shooters that ever lived. And sometimes I think we lose track of that because he's playing with the greatest shooter that ever lived. Clay is a phenomenal scorer. There's no doubt in my mind. You put Clay on any other team in the NBA just about, and he's a 24, 25 point per game guy. I didn't always believe that, but I am convinced of it now. He will have an opportunity to pick his destination next year. There's very few people or very few teams that would not be a Klay Thompson suitor if the opportunity presented itself. And he's going to have some people bidding for his services. So there's a chance he could leave, especially if Durant leaves. Because now, he's going to have an agent in his ear. He's going to have people in his ear saying, hey, man, don't re-up someplace where you won't have the same chance to win that you always had. And if that's going to be the case, maybe you need to get a fresh start. Maybe you need to go someplace where you can take advantage of some piece of stardom that you weren't able to take advantage of because you were just 1-4, the least vocal of the four, the least visible of the 4 stars in Golden State. So that's a thought. And then you got Draymond Green, who's making, I believe, like 16, 17 million a year. He's also going to be, now he won't be up until the end of next season. And Draymond has been a quite the presence for the Warriors. I don't think anybody can doubt just what he brings overall to the Warriors. He brings toughness, he brings versatility, he brings energy, all of those different things, and all of those things are unquestionably valuable. But he also brings an edge to him that can be a bit detrimental. And it's one of those things that as a team and as a player and as a teammate, you take a guy who acts like Draymond Green a lot easier when you're winning. But a guy who acts like Draymond Green wears on you when you're losing, wears on you heavy when you're losing. So and he's also not the type of dude that seems like he will scale anything back according to the situation. He's going to be Draymond 100% of the time, like it or love it. And what is how does that impact the Warriors if they're going through a bad stretch? You know, um, that's a question, and that's a good reason to wonder. So you have to say, if that's the case, would the Warriors be proactive enough to trade one of those guys? Specifically, well, really, I guess you only have an option to trade three of those guys: Durant, Klay Thompson, or Draymond Green. Would they do that in anticipation, or to try to be proactive, to try to get ahead of what could be an inevitable disassembling of the squad? That's a serious question. And I think it's something that we should ponder and think about. And I'm going to discuss that probably in the next couple of days. I know myself and Nelson Blake II will be talking about that on At Me Bro. If you have not checked out At Me Bro, it drops on Thursday morning, early afternoon every week. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll see, and also click that notifications bell. You'll get notifications when those new videos drop. And also, we cut those out into separate segments. So each conversation pretty much gets its own video. So you don't necessarily have to watch the entire thing through unless you want to. But the segments will be following up later on in the week. So that's all I have for you today. Look forward to the discussion about what types of trades offers could the Warriors get in the event that they decided to go that way. Now, they haven't said we're going to trade anybody, but whenever you get into a situation like where the Warriors are right now, that's something that is going to inevitably be discussed, especially if this losing persists, and if the internal fabric of the team continues to get frayed. You watch that conversation about potential trades is going to go up and up and up. And so I'll be looking forward to discussing that a little bit more in the future. As always, I appreciate you watching. God bless and peace.